some places never rest. In the shadowed corners of our cities, there are buildings that stand silent, locked in a world their own. Their walls echo with forgotten stories, lives that once thrived, and secrets that refuse to fade away. Among them lies one building, a place where darkness has settled deeply into every stone, every floorboard, and every inch of its eerie hallways. This isn't just an old, abandoned site. It's a place that holds a presence, an unseen watcher who never left. Locals say that after the lights go out, something else awakens. A figure known to some as the ghost security alone guard whose duty seems to extend far beyond the bounds of life itself, appearing suddenly in dim corridors and disappearing just as quickly, always silent, always watching. Not an intruder, not a stranger to this place, but something, or someone, woven into the fabric of its shadowed halls. Who is he and why does he linger here night after night? Tonight, we unravel the mystery that has haunted this place for decades. Some call him a protector. Others say he's a warning. But everyone who has seen him agrees. When you step inside, his eyes are upon you. This is more than a ghost story. This is the legend of the ghost security. To understand his story, we have to go back, far back, to when this building wasn't just a shell, but a place alive with purpose. Built over a century ago, this building served as a bustling center of life, a place for work, for treatment, for safety and security. Its walls have weathered countless storms, both from the outside and within. But over the years, as time pressed on and history moved forward, the purpose faded and its halls grew quiet. People came and went, some leaving willingly, others perhaps not so easily. Those who still pass by at night, locals, late shift workers, and even the most skeptical urban explorers claim that the building is not empty. That after the last echoes of the day fade away, there's a figure who remains, cloaked in the shadows, unseen until he chooses to be seen. A silent figure, a presence that patrols as if his purpose never left, as if some duty remains unfinished. Those who have glimpsed him say he's different from any apparition they've heard of, not a vague shadow, but a clear, defined figure, unmistakably a security guard. A man of purpose, fixed in his path, moving as if he has something to protect or something to hide. In the heart of town, there's a place with a story that no one can quite agree on, a story that began long ago, buried under whispers and half-forgotten memories. Some say it started decades back, when a lone security guard was assigned to watch over the building at night. He was quiet, reclusive, a man who barely spoke to others, but who took his duty with the utmost seriousness. To him, the building was more than a job. It was his responsibility. And then he was gone. Some say he simply left one night and never returned. Others claim they found him in one of the empty rooms, slumped over, his eyes open, as if he'd been caught by something even he couldn't see coming. But whatever happened, the building hasn't been the same since. Why does he still guard it? That's the question locals have asked for years. Because although his physical form disappeared, his presence, they say, remains. People started talking, sharing stories of strange encounters. A shadow at the end of a hallway, a figure in a guard's uniform appearing in the corner of their eye, a cold, unsettling feeling of being watched. It didn't take long before the story took on a life of its own. I understand why he may still linger here. Let's go back to the building's earliest days, to a time when this place wasn't abandoned, when it pulsed with life and purpose. This building was once a central hub, an institution of sorts, where people came for treatment and care, for refuge or healing. But like so many places of its kind, its corridors have seen their share of sorrow, grief, and perhaps worse. Stories have emerged over the years about what went on behind its walls. Tales of patients left alone in dark rooms, of workers who claimed to hear voices in empty halls, of sudden, inexplicable deaths that seemed to cast a shadow over the place. It was a place meant to be safe, but instead it seemed to draw in fear, secrecy, and suffering, as if it was absorbing the pain of everyone who passed through its doors. And then, when it was no longer needed, it was left to decay, left to the dust and shadows. All except for one thing, him. The figure in the shadows. The silent guard who, according to local legend, refuses to let go. From the very beginning, people have claimed to see him. At first, it was workers from nearby shops who said they noticed a man patrolling the building's exterior after dark. He was dressed in a uniform, they said, moving steadily, almost robotically, never veering from his path. As the stories spread, locals began to tell tales of strange encounters. Some would swear they saw a guard pacing in an empty hallway through a dusty, cracked window. Others, daring enough to step inside, reported hearing footsteps that would follow them, slow and deliberate, Though they saw no one. For years, people have been convinced that he still walks the halls, watching, waiting, keeping a silent, unyielding vigil. There are those who believe he's protecting something, guarding a secret he took to the grave. And others, well, others say he's simply lost, unable to leave, bound by a duty that time and death could not break. But why does he stay? What could hold him here, tethered to these empty halls, long after everyone else has left? Over the years, curiosity seekers, skeptics, and even paranormal investigators have come to see if the stories are true. They've left with tales of their own, stories of strange shadows, of objects moving on their own, of cold spots that follow you through the halls. And though they often catch glimpses of him, always just beyond reach, he vanishes before anyone can get too close, a figure who remains hidden in the dark, patrolling his empty post as if he never left at all. The stories of strange encounters have spread from this building for years, but few tales are as chilling as those from people who claim they've come face to face with the ghostly guard. He's not just a shadow in the dark, he's a presence, something undeniable and real, at least to those who have seen him. Each encounter tells its own story, but there's a common thread woven through them all: fear, confusion, and a sense that something very wrong is watching from the shadows. Let's start with one of the earliest accounts, the story of a janitor named Louis, who worked the night shift in the building's final months. Louis was alone one evening, finishing his rounds, when he noticed something, or rather, someone at the far end of the hallway. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light, but as he looked closer, he saw the figure was wearing a uniform. The man stood still, watching him, his face obscured by the darkness. Louis froze. He knew every worker, every security member assigned to the building, and this man was not one of them. Yet he felt a cold wave of fear wash over him, a sense that he was being sized up, scrutinized, warned, and, just as he opened his mouth to speak, to ask what he was doing there, the figure simply disappeared, not with a movement, but as if he'd never been there at all. Louis was left shaken, unable to explain what he had seen. He told a few coworkers, but most brushed it off, laughing at the thought of a ghost security. But Louis knew. He had felt that presence, cold and unyielding, and after that night he refused to work alone again. Then there was the experience of a team of paranormal investigators who came to the building after it was abandoned. They'd heard the stories, of course, but they were determined to capture evidence, any trace of the security guard who still haunted the halls. As the night wore on, they began to notice things they couldn't explain. First, there was the sound of footsteps echoing through the empty hallways. Heavy, methodical steps, as if someone were pacing the length of the corridor just ahead of them. But when they turned the corner, they found nothing. The investigators later described the air growing unnaturally cold, creating patches of icy chill that followed them, moving in and out of the hallways, almost guiding them. Their equipment picked up sudden drops in temperature, and they managed to record faint, unexplained sounds, low, distorted whispers that seemed to say, "Get out." But there was no source, no logical explanation, just a sense of dread that thickened with each passing hour. Then, at exactly 3:17 a.m., one of them saw him. A shadow standing by the staircase, barely visible, yet unmistakable in form. He wore a uniform, just as the stories claimed, and appeared to be staring directly at them. They aimed their cameras, called out, but he didn't respond. Instead, he vanished, leaving only a lingering, oppressive silence behind. And then there's perhaps the strangest story of all, from a man who wandered into the building out of sheer curiosity. He wasn't a thrill seeker or a skeptic, just a traveler passing through, intrigued by the old architecture. As he roamed through the quiet hallways, admiring the structure, he suddenly felt a chill, like a cold hand on the back of his neck. He froze. And that's when he felt it, a deep, unmistakable sense that he was not wanted there. He heard no voice, but he understood the message perfectly. Leave. It wasn't a suggestion, it was an order, as clear as if it had been spoken aloud. He backed out, never seeing anyone, but feeling eyes on him the whole way, heavy and menacing, and he left, not daring to look back. It's not just what people have seen, though it's what they've felt. Almost every person who has encountered the ghostly guard describes a physical sensation that's impossible to ignore. They talk of icy chills moving up their spine, of a pressure in the air, thick and heavy, that makes it hard to breathe. Others hear the sound of footsteps pacing close by, so near they feel they could reach out and touch the source. Some claim they felt a presence standing directly behind them, breathing down their neck, though no one was there when they turned to look. these experiences aren't just fleeting scares. They linger. Witnesses speak of sleepless nights, of nightmares that follow them long after they've left the building. Many swear they would never go back, that once was enough. It's as if the guard's presence stays with them, a haunting memory that refuses to let go. Why he's still there, why he warns people away, no one can say for certain. But those who have come close to him, who have felt that icy stare or heard those ominous footsteps, all agree on one thing. Whatever he's guarding, he's not letting anyone disturb it. Every story has an origin. For our ghostly guard, it begins with a man whose life was as bound to the building as his spirit now seems to be. This wasn't just a job to him, it was a purpose, a mission, a place he was willing to protect, no matter the cost. Those who remember him recall a man of quiet intensity, devoted to his work, with a reputation for never missing a shift, never taking a day off. To him, this building was not just bricks and mortar, it was something more. Some would even say he was obsessed, as if his own identity depended on guarding its halls. But beneath that dedication lay a darkness no one could see, a burden he carried with him to the very end. Let's go back to the time when he was still alive, a figure almost as mysterious in life as he is in death. Known simply as the guard, he was respected for his vigilance, his watchful eye that seemed to catch everything, every creak, every murmur, every shadow that passed through the halls. He took his duties seriously, maybe too seriously. Rumors among the staff hinted at a strict, almost obsessive routine, a dedication that set him apart. Some found his silence unsettling, others admired his unwavering sense of duty. But in truth, no one knew much about him beyond his role as a guard. He had no family, few friends. For him, this building was everything. And then, one night, it happened. A tragedy that no one could explain, an event that seemed to cast a shadow over the building that would never lift. The guard was found one morning, alone and lifeless, in one of the building's quietest corners. Some say he fell, that perhaps he slipped while patrolling the stairwell, the result of an unfortunate accident. But others are not so sure. There were whispers of something darker, an unresolved mystery that no one could explain. His face bore a look of fear, as if he'd seen something he couldn't escape. Was it a mere accident, a misstep in the dark, or was there something or someone else involved? To this day, no one knows. The records remain ambiguous, vague. A simple line in the official reports, death due to unknown causes, left many questions unanswered. And then, there are those who believe his death was no accident, that perhaps he took his own life, overwhelmed by something he could not escape, an internal battle he fought alone. Others claim he might have been silenced, that he knew something he wasn't supposed to know, and that his death was orchestrated to keep him quiet. It's impossible to say, but these theories have kept the mystery alive, a story that has outlasted the years and survived in whispered rumors and lingering questions. Whatever the truth, it is clear that his spirit is tied to the building in a way that cannot be broken, a connection that defies time, logic, and even death itself. But why does he stay? Why, after all these years, would he still linger here patrolling the empty halls? Some say it's his sense of duty, that his dedication was so intense, so all-consuming, that even death could not sever it. That perhaps he is still watching, still guarding something precious, something he swore to protect even with his last breath. There's a theory that perhaps he never realized he died, that in his mind, his job is not finished. He walks the halls, making his rounds, a figure lost in time, unaware that the world has moved on. Or perhaps he's aware of it, but he cannot leave. His spirit is bound here, trapped by duty or obsession, forever tied to the building that meant so much to him in life. Maybe he's not just a ghost, not just a spectral guard. Maybe he's a warning, a soul caught between worlds, forever pulled by the weight of responsibility, unable to let go. And so he remains a tragic figure, guarding a place that no longer needs him, unable to find peace, bound by the duty he can't release. Whether he's driven by loyalty, by unfinished business, or by something darker, his presence is a reminder of the power of commitment and the depths of human devotion. His story is more than a haunting. It's a testament to a life consumed by duty, a life that refuses to fade into memory. And so he walks, alone in the darkness, guarding the shadows, forever bound to a place that no longer remembers his name. In a way, he is as much a part of the building as its walls, its floors, its silent, empty rooms. And as long as the building stands, so too, it seems, will the guard who vowed to protect it until the end of time. It's been years since the guard's death, but his presence is far from forgotten. In fact, some say he's more active now than ever before. Modern-day visitors to the building, curious explorers, maintenance workers, and even night guards themselves have reported encounters that seem to confirm the guard's spectral watch is far from over. There are certain areas in the building that have become known as hot spots, places where his ghostly figure is frequently sighted. The stairwell, where he was found all those years ago, remains an area of particular unease. Workers passing through late at night often report a figure in a security uniform standing on the landing, his back to them, as if he's overseeing something in the distance. They claim he doesn't turn around but simply fades, dissolving into the shadows the moment anyone tries to get close. And it's not just fleeting glimpses. Some visitors have reported feeling a sudden drop in temperature, a chill that seems to move through the air as though guided by unseen hands. Cold spots, inexplicable drafts, and that unmistakable sensation of being watched, these are all experiences that seem to haunt those who dare enter. But the guard's presence doesn't stop at feelings alone. He's left traces, fragments of evidence that seem to defy logic. Paranormal investigators have been drawn to the building, hoping to capture proof of his existence. Many have come equipped with specialized gear, audio recorders, thermal cameras, and infrared devices. And for those who listen closely, the evidence speaks. Electronic voice phenomena, or EVP, is one method investigators use to detect voices from beyond. In this building, they've recorded chilling phrases, disembodied whispers that echo through the empty halls. Words like "leave" or "this is my place," spoken in a low, gravelly voice. Skeptics claim it's interference, but for those who've heard it firsthand, the effect is undeniable. It's as if the guard himself is speaking, giving a final warning to those who trespass on his watch. Then there's the thermal footage. Investigators using infrared cameras have captured what they describe as unexplainable cold spots, places where the temperature plummets suddenly and dramatically. These frigid zones seem to follow certain patterns, moving in and out of rooms, as if they have a mind of their own. Some say these are the places where he stands, a spectral cold lingering in his wake. But perhaps the most unsettling evidence comes in the form of shadow figures. Several visitors have seen shadowy shapes, human-like, but indistinct, lingering in the darkened hallways. Witnesses report a silhouette in a uniform, broad-shouldered and still, as if waiting for something. Shadows that don't belong, moving just beyond the corner of the eye. And then, just as quickly, they vanish, leaving only questions behind. Some have even tried to rid the building of this restless spirit. Mediums and spiritualists have been brought in, conducting rituals meant to cleanse and release the souls bound to this world. Candles, incense, and whispered prayers fill the air, seeking peace for the restless guard. But each attempt ends the same way, with failure. It's as though he cannot or will not leave. Those who attempt to communicate with him describe an overwhelming resistance, a force that pushes back, refusing to be released. One medium claimed that as she tried to cross him over, she felt a sudden heaviness pressing down on her chest, as if he were blocking her efforts, determined to stay. It's as if he believes his duty is unfinished, a guard who has pledged his soul to protect the place he once served, even in death. It loyalty, a spirit bound by the chains of his own dedication. Or something more, a dark presence tied to the mysteries of his death. Whatever the answer, the guard remains a silent, unyielding figure, bound to the building as surely as he was in life. Despite the efforts to lay him to rest, despite the prayers and rituals, his watch continues. He is the ghostly guardian of an empty place, a spirit who has chosen, or perhaps been condemned, to remain. Maybe he's waiting for something or someone to relieve him of his post. Until then, the building is his to guard. And for those who dare to enter, he is the silent sentinel, watching from the shadows, forever faithful to a duty he can never abandon. The impact of the ghost's security stretches far beyond the walls of the building. It resonates deeply within the hearts and minds of those who dare to encounter him. Witnesses have reported psychological effects that linger long after they've left the haunted halls behind. Nightmares plague some, replaying their encounters in the dark, where shadows stretch and whisper in the silence. A sense of paranoia settles in, an unsettling feeling that someone or something is always watching them. Those who have crossed paths with the guard often speak of a mark left upon them, an invisible weight that tugs at the corners of their consciousness. It's a feeling that lingers, like a chill that refuses to fade, as if the guard's presence has somehow attached itself to them. For some, it is more than just fear. It's an alteration of reality. Simple tasks become monumental challenges, shadows in their homes grow longer, and familiar places start to feel foreign. Conversations with friends reveal shared experiences of unease, as if the guard's influence has crept into their everyday lives. The haunting doesn't end when they leave, it becomes a part of them. Within the community, the legend of the ghost security guard has taken on a life of its own. Locals recount tales of his watchful presence, warning newcomers not to enter the building after dark. It's an unspoken rule, a cultural echo of fear that resonates with both the brave and the timid. Some children dare each other to venture close, but most avoid it altogether, terrified of what they might find. The building has become a ghostly landmark, a place that both intrigues and terrifies. Interestingly, among the whispers of fear, there's also a belief that the guard is not. Theories abound among paranormal enthusiasts, each trying to unravel the mystery behind the ghost's continued presence. Some speculate that he lingers due to unfinished business, an unresolved duty that ties him to the place he once patrolled. Others suggest that his strong emotional attachment to the building, born from years of service, is what binds him to its walls. And then there are those who believe in curses, a dark enchantment that may have ensnared his spirit, preventing him from moving on. Theories abound among paranormal enthusiasts, each trying to unravel the mystery behind the ghost's continued presence. Some speculate that he lingers due to unfinished business, an unresolved duty that ties him to the place he once patrolled. Others suggest that his strong emotional attachment to the building, born from years of service, is what binds him to its walls. And then there are those who believe in curses, a dark enchantment that may have ensnared his spirit, preventing him from moving on. These speculations keep the mystery alive, allowing the community and visitors alike to form their own conclusions. Are they drawn to the building out of fear or curiosity? Is the guard a protector or a prisoner of his own devotion? Each theory adds a layer of complexity to his story, inviting deeper exploration into the nature of spirits and the ties that bind them. The psychological impact of this haunting extends beyond individual experiences. It intertwines with the community's identity. The ghost security has become a living legend, a thread woven into the fabric of local lore. Each whisper of his presence reaffirms the fears and beliefs of those who live nearby, creating a shared narrative that grows richer with every passing year. Whether as a figure of fear or a guardian of the unknown, the ghost security continues to hold sway over the minds and hearts of the community. His story is a haunting reminder of the past, a narrative that leaves an indelible mark on those who dare to believe or to venture too close. But it raises an open question: can spirits truly be bound to a place by their sense of duty? Is the ghost security guard a mere figment of folklore, or is he a lingering soul, tethered to a world he once protected? The answers may elude us, leaving us to ponder the deeper mysteries of existence and the ties that bind us even beyond the grave. In reflecting on the nature of hauntings, we might consider why some spirits choose to remain. Perhaps they are defined by the roles they played in life, clinging to the essence of who they were. In life, the guard was a protector. In death, he continues that role, bound by a commitment that transcends time. It speaks to a universal truth about duty and attachment, echoing through the ages. As night falls and the shadows grow long, we are reminded of the mysteries that dwell in our world. So if you ever find yourself near the old building where the guard still walks the halls after dark, remember this: he may be watching, and in the stillness of the night, you might just feel the weight of his gaze, a silent reminder that some spirits never truly leave their posts. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the unknown. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe. As we conclude our journey into the world of the ghost security guard, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to all of you for watching. Your curiosity and engagement make these stories worthwhile, and I hope you found this exploration both intriguing and thought-provoking. I'd also like to acknowledge the various sources and contributors who helped shape this narrative. Their research and insights bring these tales to life, reminding us of the rich tapestry of history and folklore that surrounds us. I encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever experienced something supernatural, or do you have your own ghost stories or urban legends to tell? We welcome respectful discussions and would love to hear your experiences. If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Together, let's keep the stories alive and continue to explore the mysteries that lie just beyond our understanding. Until next time, keep looking to the shadows. You never know what you might find lurking just beyond the light.